After the latter went to gather the students, Yunwan Li said to Suiping, Fate Challenger Su, your sister disappeared here and I can hardly absolve myself from the blame. I will try my best to help you find her. Please forgive me. It's okay. This has nothing to do with you. I told Han Yuxiang to look after my sister. If I'm going to blame anyone, he would be the first, Suiping replied. Yunwan Li forced a smile. Fate Challenger Su, please come with me to the training field. I will have Yuxiang gather the students there. Okay. Half an hour later at an open field by the side of the hill, right at the center of the academy, thousands of people had gathered, all of them students of the academy. What is going on? Why are we here? I heard from the guys in the Fae Club that some VIPs are here. Even the principal has come back. Really? I heard that the principal is at the legendary rank. I've only met him 3 times and all of them were during the orientations. The information from the Fae Club must be real. I don't think anyone would dare to pretend to be the principal. There's something else. A new record was set at the Dragon Tower. Someone reached the 33rd level. Have you been drinking adulterated wine? The 33rd level? Why didn't you say the 333rd level? Right. Even Senior Fae has merely reached the 17th level and the best of all of us in history has only reached the 22nd level. The 33rd level? Why would you believe such a rumor? The students discussed heatedly. Some were staying with their own social groups. I wonder who can be so important that all of us have to be here. In an unassuming corner, there was a group of students with Qin Shoutian standing in the middle. His face looked cloudy, the look in his eyes was less sharp but more solemn. Standing next to him were Lu Qingfeng, Ye Longtian, and Zhou Yun. I don't care. It has nothing to do with us. Why the heck do we have to stay here? This is a waste of my time that I can spend on cultivation. Ye Longtian complained grumpily. Lu Qingfeng could not understand why the Ye family would choose that impulsive guy as their future family head. The Ye family could suffer a grave catastrophe if that VIP heard that complaint and was angered. Look, there. Isn't that Su Kuang? Zhou Yun suddenly pointed at the podium. Those people were surprised. It was Su Kuang. They had met him at the Elite League. That big, black dog Su Kuang had summoned left a deep impression on them, they were all pretty afraid of it. However, once they arrived at the academy, they came to know that Su Kuang had rented that pet. The tests in the academy revealed the fact that Su Kuang's scores were not ideal. Soon, he became one of the worst students and he lived a miserable student life. What was he doing up there on the podium? Why is he here? Lu Qingfeng voiced his confusion. Ye Longtian raised his eyebrows. Who did he anger this time? Are they punishing him in public? Zhou Yun nodded. Look at the blood stains. I suppose you're right. That is one unlucky dude. So, don't you ever pretend to be who you're not. You'll have to return the rented pets sooner or later, while we all have to rely on ourselves. Lu Qingfeng shook his head. They were all from the Longjiang base city but Su Kuang was not one of them because he didn't belong to the 5 major families. Su Kuang didn't try to interact with them and they weren't interested in being friends with him, either. Therefore, they had drifted apart. While they were talking, they heard some students screaming. Soon, all the discussions quieted down. A few people were shouting, "He's here!" People turned in that direction. Several men were coming down from the sky. Is that him? Disbelief climbed over Qin Jiaoshan's face when he saw one of the men. It's that guy. Yes, it is him. Ye Longtian stared in disbelief. Lu Qingfeng shared their astonishment. What is he doing here? Asked Zhou Yun. Not far from them, another young man was also staring as if he had seen a ghost in plain daylight. He was Mu Chen. Of the men who were descending from the sky, Mu Chen recognized 2 of the men first, Han Yuxiang, the vice principal, and Yunwan Li, the most mysterious man on campus. Then, he also recognized Suiping, who was standing between Han Yuxiang and Yunwan Li. Suiping, whom he had met in the Longjiang base city. Why is he here and standing right next to the principal? Mu Chen, do you know him? Asked a girl with a slim figure and a breathtaking face. Mu Chen was lost in that stare, so he didn't hear the question. The girl was surprised by this reaction, or more like the lack thereof. Mu Chen had been a lamb ever since he had chosen to join her party. That was the first time for Mu Chen to forget his manners when he was with her. But this made her all the more curious. Is everyone here? Suiping asked Han Yuxiang. There had to be over 1,000 people on the plaza right then. Han Yuxiang answered at once, yes. Suiping nodded. You are the principal, so you will do the asking for me. The students respect you. They would not lie to you. Yunwan Li thought about it and nodded. Sure. Those students didn't know Suiping, they wouldn't answer honestly if he were to ask them. He could understand why Suiping requested for him to take the lead. Suiping whispered something to Yunwan Li and the latter agreed. Then, Yunwan Li took a step forward. His deep and gentle voice reached everyone's ears. I have gathered you all because one of our students is missing. I believe many of you know of this. She is Soling Yu, a student who joined us this year. She went missing a week ago and was last seen at the Dragon Tower. I wonder who else saw her on the day of her disappearance. The students looked at each other in surprise. They could not believe that was the reason they had been gathered. Soling Yu, the eye-catching new girl. Yes, the new girl that reached the 10th level on her first try and soon got to the 14th level. Ah, her. I heard that she might be able to compare to Senior Fei. She's missing? I didn't know that. Why are they asking us when she's been missing for so long? Anyway, who is that guy standing beside the principal? Is he from our academy? I don't think I've seen him before. The students raised a clamor of comments. Qin Shaotian and his friends understood better. Ah, he's here to find his sister. I can't believe Soling Yu is missing. What I cannot believe is that this guy is asking the principal to help him. The principal is a legendary battle pet warrior from what I heard. Lu Qingfeng and Ye Longtian were still in disbelief. They were at the Valiant Academy. Even the Mei bunch of future family heads would have to behave, but Suiping had turned to the principal for help. How stunning! Him, Qin Shaotian narrowed his eyes and clenched his fists. He went to the academy just so that he could catch up with Suiping. It never occurred to him that they would meet like in such a fashion. One was standing on the podium and the other in the audience. One was accompanied by the principal and one was bullied by another student and had to eat humble pie. Soon after, some students began to respond to Yunwan Li's question. Yunwan Li heard the students' answers along with Suiping, one by one. Someone said that they had seen Soling Yu outside the Dragon Tower and some claimed that it was somewhere else on campus. Some said that they had met Soling Yu by the Beast's Dungeon, a forbidden area on campus. Dozens of students responded. Did you say that she went off with Senior Nan and Ji Feng? Yes. The student answering the question was quite nervous. Suiping had never left Yunwan Li for a moment. That answer got his attention. Yunwan Li asked, where are Nan Fengtian and Ji Feng? The students looked at each other but no one answered. Half a minute later, someone said in a low voice, Sir, I'm here. Suiping and Yunwan Li turned to the source of the voice. Whoosh! Suiping dashed over to the young man in an instant. The sudden appearance of Suiping took the young man off guard. The latter was so nervous that he was a bit pale. Feeling how angry Suiping was, Yunwan Li hurried over. Fate Challenger Su, please calm down and allow me to ask him. My sister left with you. Where did you go? Suiping stared at the young man with blades in his eyes. The young man turned to the principal and answered timidly, Sir, I don't know. I never met her. That student must have said my name by mistake. I was cultivating. I never left campus that day. Yunwan Li looked at that student and motioned Han Yuxiang to take care of that student. Han Yuxiang carried that student and flew over to Suiping. Did you see the wrong person or say the wrong name? Yunwan Li asked. That student was tense. He looked at Yunwan Li and Ji Feng. I think I remembered it wrong, answered the student, visibly scared. You are lying, Suiping pointed out. He was not saying that the student was lying, but the other young man named Ji Feng. Your heart rate is racing and you're sweating. You're lying and you're nervous, and not in a good way. Let me ask you one more time. Where did you see her for the last time? Or, are you the one related to her disappearance? That young man had just felt relief when that student said he had made a mistake when Suiping's words made him fearful again. Even though Suiping was aggressive, the young man mustered up the courage. Why are you insulting me? Are you Soling Yu's brother? I said that I was cultivating that day. I never saw her. Who could prove that I saw her? I said that you're lying. Suiping kept his stare on him. Why do you think you can accuse me of that? I am Ji Feng. I never care about lying, the young man claimed angrily. Han Yuxiang told himself that Ji Feng had gone too far. He wanted to warn the student but was one step too late. Slap! Ji Feng's head tilted to the side. There was a red mark on his face. That slap was heard by everyone and stunned them all. Ji Feng was a popular senior student about to graduate. He had an ability close to the titled rank and he was from one of the ancient families. That day, someone had publicly slapped him in the face. I am going to ask you again. Where did you take her? Suiping pierced him with his glare. That young man took a few seconds to come back to his senses. Blood was rushing to his head with so many stares falling on him. How dare you slap me? Do you know who I am? Ji Feng was losing his mind. All the students and teachers were present. He was crazy with anger. While standing in the distance, Qin Shaotian and his friends were dumbstruck. They could not believe how that guy was as ruthless as before, even at the Valiant Academy, not to mention that the principal was present. How bold of him! Bang! There came a muffled sound. Suiping smacked the shouting Ji Feng on his head. The ground around the young man caved in and the cracks were spread out like a spider web. Ji Feng's clothes were turned into rags. He was covered in blood streaks. Ji Feng had a dull look on his face. Yunwan Li narrowed his eyes in surprise. He could tell how intricate that move had been. Suiping didn't kill Ji Feng but made sure the latter was on the verge of dying. That move should have killed him directly but he survived. Suiping's mastery of his own strength was perfect. Yunwan Li, being a legendary battle pet warrior, knew more than anyone how hard it was to have that perfect mastery. There is also someone called Nan Fengtian, right? Get him over here. Suiping looked sullen. Yunwan Li first looked at Ji Feng who had passed out and was barely breathing. He felt sorry and wanted to persuade Suiping to give up but the killing intent on Suiping's face made him think otherwise. Where is Nan Fengtian? He asked. The students present stared at Suiping, completely dumbfounded. Everyone was able to tell that the young man was definitely not an average person. They had thought at first that he was merely the principal's new student. However, he had injured a student in public and the principal didn't blame him for it. That was terrifying in itself. To be able to hurt Ji Feng so badly with one blow was also intimidating. That man seems to be a big deal. While standing next to Mu Chen, that delicate girl squinted her eyes which resembled crescent moons. Everything that was happening seemed to be amusing her. Mu Chen had been transfixed by it. It was unexpected to see how that guy was still able to be that irritable while being at the Valiant Academy. Ever since Mu Chen got there, after the many lessons he had been taught, he had learned to embrace one fact: the Longjiang base city was a small place. The overlord of a pond was merely a shrimp, it was bound to meet the true overlord in the ocean. And yet, Sua Ping still seemed to be the overlord there. Inconceivable. A minute or two had passed, but still, there was no answer. Yun Wanli frowned. Right then, someone found the courage to answer, "Sir, I think Senior Nan is cultivating in the graveyard forest." "He's not here." Sua Ping frowned. "The graveyard forest." Yun Wanli explained right away, "The graveyard forest is a training field where many ancient beasts' corpses lie. The past aura lingers on the corpses and its violent nature can strengthen one's spirit. Staying there for long enough is helpful to not be easily terrorized by beasts." "I see. Take me there," Sua Ping said. Yun Wanli nodded. "The graveyard forest is not far away from here. Come with me." He led the way. Sua Ping followed him. Han Yuxiang went after them. After all, Solingya had not been found yet. That had only brought him disasters. The students looked at each other speechlessly. Should they keep on standing there? Soon, some students dashed away after Sua Ping. The girl standing next to Mu Chen did so as well. She had abandoned the students' rules of conduct. Fei Tianyi went after the crowd as well. Sua Ping turned out to be more aggressive than he thought. He could not believe that anyone would dare to publicly resort to violence, right there in the academy. Fei Tianyi had met Ji Feng several times when the latter had gone to challenge him. Ji Feng had failed every time, but he knew that he wasn't a weak student, it was someone worth training with. Many students went toward the graveyard forest to follow after Sua Ping and their principal. With Fei Tianli and some other popular students taking the lead, others that weren't afraid of breaking rules on account of their influential family backgrounds decided to follow suit. The teachers who were keeping order wanted to stop the students. But they felt their hands were tied when it came to people like Fei Tianyi. Having no better options, the teachers chose to stop some of the more average students that just happened to bump right into them. The teachers knew they couldn't stop the students with influential backgrounds. They could not afford to do that. That was especially true for Fei Tianyi. He was more esteemed than some of the teachers. He would not be punished in any way as long as his mistake was not grave. Here we are. After 10 minutes or so passed, Sua Ping, Yun Wanli, and Han Yuxiang arrived at a dense forest where purple bamboos grew. The dark glow coming off from the bamboo gave a gloomy look to the forest. "This is the graveyard forest." Han Yuxiang was trying to catch his breath. The graveyard lies behind the purple bamboos which were found in an unknown world across a spatial crack. The purple bamboos can absorb the filthy and foul energy and oppress it. The purple bamboos are the reason we can isolate the graveyard forest. Otherwise, the foul energy found there would contaminate the entire Longyang base city. Indeed. Yun Wanli nodded with a serious look on his face. Right then, a man came flying across the purple bamboo to greet them. It was a strong and tall middle-aged man who was surprised to see Yun Wanli. In a hurry, the man dropped to one knee while hovering in the air. "Sir! How can I help you? Please stand up." Yun Wanli helped the man up and said, "I'm here for Mr. Nan. Is he inside now?" "Nan." The middle-aged man realized that the presence of the vice principal and the principal together meant the matter had to be of importance. The man answered without delay. "Sir, do you mean Nan Fengtian, from the Nan family of the Setting Sun base city? He's here. He came here yesterday and has been cultivating inside Nan Ansui." Yun Wanli was happy to hear that. "Good. Tell him to come out at once." The middle-aged man nodded. A piece of dark rock appeared in his palm. He poured astral powers into the rock that had the number 19 appearing on it. The astral powers pouring in, made the rock produce a blinding radiance. The 19th level. Han Yuxiang was evidently surprised by the number. The middle-aged man finished pouring in astral powers and lowered his hands down. Indeed. Nan Fengtian is a talented offspring of Senior Setting Sunday. He must be the student with the strongest willpower in our academy, Vice Principal, not even your student can compete against Nan Fengtian in the strength of spirit. Of course, the student the man referred to was Fei Tianyi. Han Yuxiang had had many students in his life. But at the moment, merely one of them was still studying and was able to compete against Nan Fengtian. There were 4 important students in the academy, Fei, Nan, Guo, and Ji. The 4 were the best students of the year. Fei Tianyi, sometimes referred to as God Fei by the admiring students, ranked number 1 among the 4 on account of his combat strength. Nan Fengtian came second and his willpower was stronger than anyone else's. He was respected and worshipped by many students as well. They heard some people approach while Suoping and the others were chatting. The first to arrive was Fei Tianyi. 100 meters behind him was a girl that was just as agile as he was. Fei Tianyi arrived and stood behind Suoping and his teachers. That girl stopped by Fei Tianyi. The girl darted a glare at Fei Tianyi, vexed by the outcome. She had made a move first but he caught up with her, she wanted to grind her teeth. That little run and chase was a small game between them and she had lost again. Hey! The middle-aged man was facing Suoping so he was able to see Fei Tianyi and the girl arrive. He smiled at them. Mr. Fei and Miss Guo are here. What a surprise! Han Yuxiang turned over and saw the boy and girl standing together. He was speechless. Why would they follow them instead of staying put at the plaza? Of course, it was too late for him to scold them at the moment. That was one of the negative traits of those talented students. They sometimes held no regard for rules. Soon, they heard more and more people approaching. The students were employing different methods to make their way over. Upon arriving, they all stood behind Fei Tianyi and the girl. Han Yuxiang had noticed they were all the outstanding students in the academy. What a headache! Han Yuxiang chose to ignore this. So be it. If they wanted to watch, feel free. Curious, the girl looked at Suoping from behind and asked Fei Tianyi, "Hey, who's that guy?" Fei Tianyi frowned and answered with coldness, "What does that have to do with you? Come on. I'm just asking a question." "Can't you answer like a normal person?" the girl complained. Fei Tianyi was not in the mood to amuse her. He stared at Suoping's back, remembering what had happened between them by the Dragon Tower. Fei Tianyi clenched his fingers. "I heard that this guy is Sol Lingyu's big brother." "Really? He doesn't look that much older. I cannot believe he's at the titled rank. I thought Sol Lingyu didn't have any connections. How come the siblings are equally talented?" The girl placed one hand on her hip and the other under her chin. She tapped her cheek with her fingers. Fei Tianyi was interrupted from his thoughts. Gravely, he said, "He's not even 24 yet." Hey! The fact that Fei Tianyi would say anything was a surprise to the girl, not to mention that the reply was kind of strange. "What?" Fei Tianyi no longer replied. "Why isn't he here yet?" Suoping stared at the bamboos with a sullen face. "How long do I have to wait?" The middle-aged man noticed that unfamiliar person. "Who is this?" "This is Fate Challenger Su," Yunwan Li introduced. "Fate Challenger." The middle-aged man stared with wide-open eyes. "That titled battle pet warrior?" Yunwan Li nodded. The middle-aged man could not believe it. Fate challengers were people superior to the titled rank who were able to compare to the legendary battle pet warriors. This young man was a fate challenger? Han Yuxiang also thought that it had taken Nan Fengtian long enough to get out. He had not sensed anyone coming, so he urged the middle-aged man, "It is taking too long. Tell him again." The middle-aged man answered at once, "I will do that." Suoping frowned. "Can't we just go in?" Han Yuxiang shook his head. The graveyard forest is a special place. Once a person goes inside, the seal will be activated and it can only be opened from the inside, or when the formation that makes the seal is cracked. But the formation is complicated and cracking it will take time. Let's just wait for a couple of more minutes. Yunwan Li added, yes, let's do that. Nan Fengtian is cultivating on the 19th level. It is very dangerous up there, and even titled battle pet warriors at the peak can be contaminated by the foul energy. I suppose we should wait for him to come out on his own. Su Ping just said to the middle-aged man, do communicate with him again. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded and poured astral powers into the rock. The black rock gave off a glow that gradually receded. 15 minutes passed and nothing. Han Yuxiang was getting scared. Nan Fengtian is not in trouble, is he? Yunwan Li frowned. I think that is possible. He, after all, is merely at the 8th rank. It is too much for him to stay at the 19th level. Su Ping didn't like that at all. He stepped forward and directly flew into the graveyard forest. There were some bolts of purple lightning glistening around Yunwan Li's clothes. He reached Su Ping within an instant. Fate Challenger, please. The formation is quite abstruse and there are portals to different locations inside. You have to wait for Nan Fengtian to come out if you want to get to the 19th level, or for me to deactivate the seal of the 19th level for you, or else you'll be attacked by all the foul energy of the entire graveyard forest. Not even a legendary battle pet warrior at the void state can take that. Please, Mr. Su, please calm down. Han Yuxiang also tried to talk Su Ping out of it. It's okay, Su Ping insisted. He waved his hand with a cold look and determination, pushing away Yunwan Li who was blocking in front of him. Su Ping stepped forward. Buzzing! A wind sprang up. Su Ping re-emerged above the dense purple bamboo forest. Many purple lines were growing out in the air. Just like a spider web, the purple lines trapped Su Ping inside, away from the graveyard forest. Fate Challenger Su! Yunwan Li screamed. Su Ping placed his hand on the lines. There was a bang, and the formation cracked. Amid the loud noise, the sky darkened in an instant as dark clouds gathered in the otherwise clear sky above the entire graveyard forest, or, to be exact, above the entire Valiant Academy. Alas! Yunwan Li stomped his feet. He just couldn't stop a person who was courting death. Breaking in would provoke all the corpses and foul energy in the graveyard forest. Su Ping could die. No matter how much strength he had, at the end of the day Su Ping was but a young man. His combat strength would amount to nothing when dealing with those corpses and foul energy because the latter would attack the spirit. That was why Fei Tianyi had not been doing as well as Nan Fengtian in that graveyard forest. That is, bold. The girl surnamed Guo was staring with disbelief at the young man who was trying to tear the formation apart to break into the graveyard forest. That was not only a cultivation field for the students but also a shelter for the times when the Valiant Academy was under attack. Anyone who didn't follow the specific routes would unavoidably provoke all the corpses and the deadly energy inside. Not even a legendary battle pet warrior would survive that. Fei Tianyi was dumbstruck. He could not believe that anyone could be so hot-headed. Breaking into the graveyard forest was a suicidal action. Su Ping was doomed. Fei Tianyi felt disappointed. Su Ping was supposed to be a rare talent, but he was going to pass away in such a foolish manner. Father once told me that the number of talents is countless but very few can stick to the end. Talent is not the only thing that matters, the ones who can survive on top of being talented are truly powerful. Fei Tianyi remembered his father's teachings. He no longer felt respect as he looked at that young man, he just felt indifferent. Su Ping might have created a sensation at the Dragon Tower, but no sensation would last for long if he died. The students standing behind Fei Tianyi and the girl were rooted to the ground. That guy is mad. Oh God, no, he's losing it. He is trying to break into the graveyard forest. Not even a legendary battle pet warrior would do that. Qin Shaotian and Lu Qingfeng were anxious and afraid. They weren't that close to Su Ping, but they were all from the Longjiang base city. It bothered them to see that Su Ping would choose that suicidal approach. They had been in the academy for less than half a year, but they had come to know the terrors of the graveyard forest. Of course, they would know because the students would often tell their stories. There was a historical account which said that there had once been a legendary battle pet warrior who had arrived to strike the valiant academy, but he ended up dead in the graveyard forest. That was a perilous place even for legendary battle pet warriors. Students would go there to cultivate, they would behave and follow the rules. They would pick up their passes and walk in along the designated paths. A talent from the Longjiang base city. For him to be dying here, this is not worth it. Zhou Yun and Ye Longtian felt their hearts ache. Sui Ping was much more talented than they were, it was ridiculous for him to die in such a way. Sui Ping stood above the purple bamboos. The clear sky had turned completely dark, wind howled and blew as if ghosts were crying. The temperature was dropping. From the depths of the bamboo forest rose many masses of darkness from which came out blood-freezing and offending screams, paired with cries of madness and violence. Mr. Su! Han Yuxiang shouted, his face pale. He didn't want to see a talent fall that way. Sui Ping didn't look back, he felt the surging evil and the surrounding foul energy. His force field was coming out behind him. You puny ghosts! How dare you cry in front of me? Sui Ping stepped into the gale. The cold and cutting wind blew his hair back. Amid everyone's stares, he walked forward while floating in the air. The foul energy was surging toward him from different directions. The darkness took the shape of beasts that were roaring and pouncing at him. Sui Ping walked onward. Roar! The ferocious bellow echoed above the graveyard forest. A huge dragon head was formed by the darkness which snapped its jaws at Sui Ping. Sui Ping raised his head the moment the dragon head was about to reach him. His eyes were cold as ice and red as blood. The wind stopped. The dragon's roar stopped. In the meantime, a magnificent shadow that held a huge sword stepped out from the dark force field behind Sui Ping. The shadow was tall, covered in sharp blades. It moved its sword to hack at the front. A ray of dark sword light whooshed out. That dragon head cracked open, cries and screams emerged from the inside. The foul energy was split up and dispersed in the vicinity. The dark shadow behind Sui Ping had also vanished, he stood in the air with a profound killing intent, which made him look like a demon. Sui Ping made his way forward and the evil energy retreated to the sides. It was afraid to get near him. The students and teachers alike were unable to understand why they were seeing such a situation. Yunwan Li widened his eyes. He was also unable to keep calm after seeing such development. He, of all people, knew the horrors of the graveyard forest, and Sui Ping turned out to be even more horrifying than the graveyard forest. The principal was able to feel that killing intent, even while standing in the distance. Goosebumps had broken out. The graveyard forest was a residence for ghosts and Sui Ping was their king. He could not fathom how much blood Sui Ping had to see to attain such a killing intent. He's not even at the legendary rank, but he already has a force field and quite the violent one at that. A force field is the manifestation of one's heart and soul. What is in his heart and soul? Yunwan Li's heart was racing. All of a sudden, he began to understand why that young man had managed to stay alive after what he had done in the tower. Yunwan Li didn't get to see it. He had heard some of the story from other legendary battle pet warriors, but they didn't want to talk about it. He understood that it was not a good thing. But he then realized that there was another reason. That young man was terror itself. Han Yuxiang had lost his ability to talk. He had yet again reshaped his idea about Sui Ping. The Dragon Tower had proven Sui Ping's young age. He was less than 24 years of age, but he was able to compare to legendary battle pet warriors, and his mind and soul were terrifying. How? Han Yuxiang could not even think about how Sui Ping had made such progress, including that mysterious legendary battle pet warrior who was hiding in Sui Ping's store. Sui Ping was a person of secrets, and Han Yuxiang didn't even think he was a person from the blue planet. Fei Tianyi, the girl, and the other students were frozen on the spot. They thought they had just witnessed how hell had opened up to make way for the king of demons to come out. That young man was the king of all that was evil. Fei Tianyi's mind had stopped functioning. The girl stared, dumbfounded. Whoosh! Sui Ping walked past the bamboos and reached the graveyard. The evil energy retreated. Many ancient but mighty figures were faintly seen in the force field behind him, but barely anyone noticed it. The graveyard forest was in a low-lying basin. There were seals with purple lines running all across the slopes. The seals surrounded areas of about 10 square meters. Most of the areas inside the seals were empty, a few of them were occupied. Those were very likely students cultivating. That place was arranged like terraced fields. Sui Ping gazed into the distance. The deeper you were in the basin, the fewer people there would be. He saw a person sitting in the farthest depths, cultivating. However, as if having felt something, said person stopped his meditation. Sui Ping remembered when Han Yuxiang and Yun Wanli heard that Nan Fengtian was at the 19th level. He locked his gaze on that student and strode over. The demons screamed and the wind blew. The evil energy wanted to get to Sui Ping but remained within a certain distance around him as he moved forward, just as if it were afraid of something. The 19th level. Inside the seal. Nan Fengtian opened his eyes slowly with a frown because he felt the strikes from the evil energy were lessening. The cries and screams he got to hear in his mind were lessening. He was baffled. He had never experienced something like that in his cultivation. So, was it because of the artifact he got from his family? He reached into his chest pocket and grabbed a piece of jade. The jade was irregularly shaped, there was nothing special about it apart from the gentle glow it radiated. However, Nan Fengtian was well aware of how precious the piece of jade was. It could protect people's hearts and souls and enable one to be immune to a beast king's deterrence. Even a legendary battle pet warrior would want such a treasure. Nan Fengtian said to himself, coming here is meaningless if this jade can expel evil energy. He wore the piece of jade when he cultivated in that place, because he wanted to be attacked by the maximum amount of evil energy while his heart and soul were protected, so that he could train his spirit. If that jade was weakening the evil energy, staying at the 19th level with the jade wouldn't be as beneficial as staying at the 18th level without the jade. Nan Fengtian shook his head. He was about to leave when the seal around him began to tremble. The purple lines that were hiding in the seal became visible. That came as a surprise to Nan Fengtian. That had never happened before. Something must be wrong. Is something happening to the graveyard forest? Nan Fengtian decided not to stay any longer. That was a place for him to cultivate, but it wasn't a safe place. If something were to happen, staying longer than necessary could lead to dangerous life and death situations. The seal cracked when Nan Fengtian was about to leave the area. A figure surrounded by darkness floated in. Nan Fengtian stepped back and his heart was racing. What are you? He felt the evil energy around that person was even more terrifying than the things he had felt in his cultivation. Is he still cultivating? Is he residing in his consciousness? Are you Nan Fengtian? Sui Ping looked down at him from a height. Nan Fengtian was confused. How do you know? Do you know Soling Yu? Where was the last time you saw her? Sui Ping asked. Nan Fengtian was even more baffled. Soling Yu. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two people arrived, Yun Wanli and Han Yuxiang. Yun Wanli proposed to Sui Ping when he saw the stunned and confused Nan Fengtian. Fate Challenger Su, let's all of us leave this place so we can talk about this. Sir. Nan Fengtian could not believe that he was seeing Yun Wanli and Han Yuxiang in that place. He was even more convinced that he was still cultivating. Otherwise, why would the elusive principal show up? Sure. Sui Ping gave Nan Fengtian a look but said nothing else. Yun Wanli was relieved. He grabbed Nan Fengtian and flew back along with Han Yuxiang. They exited the graveyard forest. Fei Tianyi and the other students had finally returned to their senses, but they again were shocked when they saw Yun Wanli carrying Nan Fengtian in his hand. They had reached the 19th level in quite the short span of time, which was a level that was too difficult to reach for the average students. The students placed their gaze on Suoping, who had put away his killing intent. Yet, what he did had left a deep and long-lasting impression on the students. "Mr. Nan, Fate Challenger Su is about to ask you something. Answer his questions honestly. Do not lie." Yunwan Li put Nan Fengtian down and cautioned him. He stole a glance at Suoping. He even thought quite highly of Suoping back then. He had just thought that Suoping and he were much alike in combat strength. And yet, what Suoping did just then made him realize that the young man was most likely equal to the void state. That was a state that Yunwan Li could not reach. Considering his old age, without any particular luck, he would die as a legendary battle pet warrior at the ocean state. "Sir?" Nan Fengtian asked. "So, is this reality?" Yunwan Li motioned the middle-aged man to approach him. "Light the lamp and make him see." The middle-aged man took out a lamp and poured astral powers inside it, gradually lighting it up. Nan Fengtian was sure that he was in the real world. The lamp was proof. The lamp couldn't even be seen in a person's consciousness. That lamp was a mysterious artifact and people weren't aware of other effects except that no one was able to see that lamp when they were stuck in their consciousness. The lamp could only be seen in reality. Gradually, the forest watchers began to use the lamp to help the students tell the fake from the truth. "Nice to meet you, sir." Having confirmed that he was in the real world, Nan Fengtian greeted Yunwanlin in a hurry. Yunwan Li waved his hand. "Nan, now, tell Fate Challenger Su everything you know about Miss Su." "Fate Challenger Su?" Nan Fengtian was wondering if he had heard correctly. But he didn't dare to ask. He still remembered how the young man had appeared right in front of him. It was the young man's killing intent which had made him believe he was still stuck in his consciousness. Otherwise, he didn't have to use the lamp to help him realize he was in the real world given his rich experience of cultivating here. "Sir, by Miss Su you mean?" Nan Fengtian asked. "Don't play dumb with me. We are asking you about the girl that went missing because of you." Suoping bellowed. Nan Fengtian was scared but he calmed himself down at once. "I don't know what you're talking about. We have a lot of people surnamed Su in the academy. How can I know if you don't tell me the name? As for anyone who went missing because of me, that's preposterous. I have been cultivating. I would never and will never care about bullying other students." Suoping narrowed his eyes. "You're lying." Nan Fengtian felt offended. "Why do you say that? I'm the descendant of a legendary battle pet warrior and have a noble bloodline inside me. Why would I lie?" Yunwan Li remembered what had happened to Ji Feng and he noticed the danger signs on Suoping's face. "Fate Challenger, please calm down, sir. Let's hear the report from Fengtian first." He spoke to Suoping with more respect. What Suoping had done to break into the graveyard forest was truly shocking for him. If it weren't for the fact that Nan Fengtian was the descendant of a legendary battle pet warrior and was also one of the best students in the academy's recent years, Yunwan Li wouldn't have offended Suoping because of one student. "We're asking you about Sol Lingyu. Someone saw her with you and Ji Feng before she went missing. Do you know where she went?" Yunwan Li asked. Nan Fengtian shook his head. "Sir, I do not know, honestly. Miss Su is a new student. She's talented and I do want to recruit her to defend our family, but I have indeed been cultivating in the past few days. I would not know that she had gone missing before you told me. Like I said, you're lying." Suoping pierced Nan Fengtian with his glare. "I will give you one more chance. I do not care about your bloodline and that you once had a legendary battle pet warrior in your family. I will kill you and any legendary battle pet warrior currently in your family." Nan Fengtian could not believe such a big talk. The legendary battle pet warrior of his family had passed away a long time before, but that fact still reminded him of a source of pride for all family members. "You are insulting a legendary battle pet warrior. Do you know what crime you have committed?" Nan Fengtian bellowed. Yunwan Li and Han Yuxiang were scared out of their wits. Yunwan Li cautioned Nan Fengtian at once. Shut up! Fate Challenger So can kill legendary battle pet warriors. Mind your manners. Nan Fengtian was astounded. He's able to kill legendary battle pet warriors? This young man is also at the legendary rank. Nan Fengtian's heart was racing and his blood was boiling, he was sweating through his shirt. The principal was at the legendary rank and he knew that. A legendary battle pet warrior would not lie to him. I'm sorry, Nan Fengtian dropped to his knees and apologized at once. Nan Fengtian was terrified upon recalling how respectful Yunwan Li was toward So Ping. He was courting death by answering with such a bad attitude, even when the principal would not assume any great airs in front of the young man. The student produced a forced smile. Sir, Mr. Su, I really don't know where she is. I just learned about what happened to her. I've been cultivating, PFF. Nan Fengtian was forced to stop talking because one of his arms was torn off. Blood gushed out. That sudden strike caught Nan Fengtian off guard. It even took him a few seconds to feel the pain. He eyed So Ping with terror and the killing intent in So Ping's eyes told him that the young man didn't believe him at all. No matter what he said, So Ping would kill him. Putting his hand to staunch the wound, Nan Fengtian stepped back. Sir, you're wrong about me. Fate Challenger Su. Yunwan Li could not stand to see his student go through that cruel treatment. He put himself in front of So Ping. Fate Challenger Su, you have no proof, so I hope that you show mercy. Nan Fengtian is our student and a descendant of a legendary battle pet warrior. His forefathers stayed in the deep caves and made great sacrifices for humankind. He does not deserve this. Move. So Ping said without any emotions. Fate Challenger Su. Yunwan Li pulled a long face and unleashed his astral powers. He knew that he couldn't defeat So Ping, but he couldn't stand the sight of So Ping hurting his student right there. Mr. Su, I understand your sister is missing. Han Yuxiang wanted to calm So Ping down as well. However, So Ping disappeared right in front of Yunwan Li. He re-emerged in front of Nan Fengtian, he placed a hand around Nan Fengtian's neck and picked him up off the ground. Yunwan Li was afraid, he knew that something bad was going to happen the moment So Ping vanished. The latter already had Nan Fengtian in his grasp. Fate Challenger Su. Yunwan Li shouted. His hair and beard were dancing in the air. He was boiling with anger. No one can save you today. I am going to ask you one more time. Where is Soling Yu? So Ping said to Nan Fengtian. Nan Fengtian felt he was under more pressure than when he reached the 19th level. His face blushed because of the suffocation and he had to squeeze out his reply, how dare you say that I'm lying? You have no proof and you are slandering me. I'm a good guy, my words are proof. I say you're lying so you are lying. So Ping said those bold words. He didn't do anything but a cut appeared on Nan Fengtian's chest. Blood was spilling out. Tell me or I will not only execute you but your entire family. So Ping claimed. Nan Fengtian's heart was pounding with a mix of fear and anger. He bit his teeth and turned his gaze to Yunwan Li. Sir, help, the principal was afraid to act given that So Ping had Nan Fengtian in his hands. Fate Challenger Su, I've treated you with respect but you've only paid me back with contempt. Do you really want to turn hostile to us and the entire humankind? So what? So Ping turned over and continued indifferently, I've visited the tower. Those people were just a bunch of vermin. Say one more thing and I will kill you too. You humph. Yunwan Li was purple with rage. Fei Tianyi and the girl could not believe what they had just heard So Ping say. The principal was at the legendary rank and So Ping still claimed that he would kill him regardless. Han Yuxiang was trembling. He had heard stories about So Ping. He didn't dare to move at all for fear that he would further enrage that relentless killer. So Ping could drown the entire academy in blood. Nan Fengtian could not hide the fear in his eyes. Once Su Ping's eyes fell on him again, with a pale face and with trembling lips, Nan Fengtian said, I will tell you. Miss Su is in the deep caves. It never occurred to Su Ping that Nan Fengtian would give up that easily. Su Ping turned pale with fright when he heard the name. What did you just say? Say that again. Su Ping stared at Nan Fengtian with a frightening look. He came to know about the deep caves during the Supremacy League. He understood that the tower would have to send legendary battle pet warriors to the perilous deep caves all year round. Nan Fengtian was on the verge of being strangled to death. He struggled with all his might to squeeze some words out. I'm telling the truth. Su Ping stared at Nan Fengtian as if he were a demon. It took Su Ping a few seconds to contain his killing intent. He loosened his grip a bit and asked, what is she doing in the deep caves? Nan Fengtian's voice trembled. She wanted to go herself. She said she wanted to train there. Su Ping fell silent. Right then, Yun Wanli and Han Yuxiang had approached them. Yun Wanli was happy to see that Su Ping was getting less angry. You just said that you didn't know. When did Miss Su go to the deep caves? Why didn't you stop her? Yun Wanli scolded Nan Fengtian. Why didn't you? That's a dangerous place. Even legendary battle pet warriors can die there. It's no different from courting death, Han Yuxiang added. I couldn't stop her. Nan Fengtian sounded sorry. Yun Wanli heaved a sigh as he looked at the innocent-looking Nan Fengtian before he said to Su Ping, Fate Challenger Su, we have no time to lose. I'll go with you to find your sister now. Sister. Nan Fengtian didn't know that the man was Su Lingyu's big brother. Nan Fengtian gulped. Su Ping darted a glance at Yun Wanli and then his eyes landed on Nan Fengtian's face again. His voice sounded deadly and stripped of all emotions when he spoke. She wouldn't have gone there for no reason, and even if she insisted, she wouldn't have directly avoided you. Ji Feng has already told me why the surveillance didn't work around the Dragon Tower. Nan Fengtian instantly turned pale. He trembled and his knees almost buckled with fright. Crying, he said, I didn't mean to. I just thought it would be fun to say it and she went. I didn't mean to hurt her. Yun Wanli could not believe that. Han Yuxiang was startled first and a cloud obscured his face. The students could not believe that the ever-proud and distant Nan Fengtian would end up in that humiliating position one day. He was begging, it was an ugly sight. They were also able to tell that the girl's disappearance was because of him. Su Ping lowered his head. A glint of killing intent flashed past his eyes. Bang! Nan Fengtian turned into pieces of flesh and drops of blood. The glint of killing intent disappeared in Su Ping's eyes. He turned around and asked Yun Wanli, where's the closest entrance to the deep caves? Yun Wanli came back to his senses. He was appalled by the scattered remains and the pool of blood. Still, he had to answer. He must have been speaking of the place that our academy is responsible for. I will take you there right away. Su Ping frowned. On campus? Yes. Yun Wanli nodded and said to Han Yuxiang, close the Dragon Tower for now and send someone to guard it. I will go to the deep caves with Fate Challenger and come back as soon as we find Miss Su. Han Yuxiang nodded. Mr. Su, I am sorry. I failed. I won't absolve myself from the blame, said Han Yuxiang with guilt. If I cannot find her, you will follow her to the underworld, Su Ping warned Han Yuxiang before he took off. Han Yuxiang was colorless and could barely stand finding Su Lingyu in the deep caves. Even Han Yuxiang lacked the courage to go there on his own. Not to mention the fact that Su Lingyu had been missing for a week. She had been there for at least 7 days and the odds of her still being alive was close to zero. Yun Wanli heard that warning as well, but he couldn't change the past. He just prayed that Su Ping's sister was a lucky girl or else he would be unable to stop Su Ping when the latter returned to start a killing spree. He had learned from Su Ping's move just then that he was much weaker. The tension over the graveyard forest disappeared as Suiping and Yunwan Li left. The students looked at each other in speechless astonishment. If it weren't for the remains on the ground, they would have thought that everything had just been an illusion. Senior Nan is dead, just like that. He was so young when he reached the 19th level, and he came from a family with a legendary battle pet warrior. He could have become one in the future. But he's gone. I heard that Senior Nan and Sol Lingyu had some disputes. I didn't believe it then. Pa, such a cruel guy. He tricked Miss Sue into entering the deep caves. That is plain murder. Oh, shut up. This isn't the first time this has happened, no need to make a fuss. All I can say is that this Nan guy struck a rock. Right. The Nan family is doomed. The students discussed. Some had abandoned the name Senior Nan and would refer to the deceased as the Nan guy. A dead talent was a loser that no one would remember. Which rank is he at? Qin Shaotian and his friends gazed as Suiping took his leave. Suiping was bold enough to kill students in front of the principal and claimed that he could also kill the principal. They found that Suiping was an enigma. Is he above the legendary rank? Really? I didn't know that the new girl's brother was such a monster, the girl surnamed Guo said, her heart still fluttering with fear. Fei Tianyi clenched his fingers. Fei, Nan, Ji, Guo. Nan Fengtian had ranked second. Even though Nan Fengtian's combat strength was weaker, his spirit was stronger. Fei Tianyi had always viewed him as a powerful rival. However, Nan Fengtian died, crushed by Suiping as if he were merely a piece of paper. Genius? All of a sudden, that word sounded ironic to Fei Tianyi. He had thought that no one would be able to kill him easily since he had combat strength close to the titled rank. However, he then understood he was as weak as an ant in front of a truly powerful man. And you said he was less than 24? Really? The girl was still curious. Fei Tianyi curled his lips. However strong you are, there's always someone stronger. I suggest you spend the time wondering about this on cultivation. You're too weak. You can't even catch up with me, I outnumber, the girl stomped her feet. Oh, shut the hell up. I'm just asking you a question. And however strong you are, there's always someone stronger. What? I am bound to reach the legendary one day. You can get a head start, but wait and see how I will exceed you. Bah! Fei Tianyi sneered and left without further ado. Damn you! The girl stomped her feet again before she left. Outside the cave stood 8 guards. 7 of them were standing straight, but one of them had a piece of straw clamped between his teeth. He sat on a boulder by the cave, and the lazy fellow would take a sip of his wine every now and then. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 people flew over and descended from high above. Their motion stirred up some dust in the area. Yunwan Li and Suiping had arrived. Mr. Principal. Sir. The guards were surprised by the principal's sudden appearance. The middle-aged man who was idling away jumped up with a start, hid his flask behind his back, and spat out that straw. He ran to Yunwan Li and adopted a tone with respect. Sir, what brings you here? Yunwan Li asked the middle-aged man with a serious tone. Fengshu, I know you're in charge here. Did you see a student enter the cave a week ago? The man named Fengshu produced a forced smile. Sir, you can't be serious. This place is off limits. I wouldn't let any of those kids get in there. I always scare them away even if they come near me. Shut up. Yunwan Li stopped the middle-aged man's blabbering and snarled as he continued, Did someone go inside a week ago? That snarl came as quite a shock to Fengshu. The anger in Yunwan Li's eyes scared him. He dropped to his knees and said, Sir, please forgive me. I've failed my job. A week ago, there was a time when I happened to be away to take care of some matters. I heard that someone had broken in when I got back. I didn't dare to go in there to chase after that student. Yunwan Li's face was clouded. Was it a girl? Yes. Feng Xiu lowered his head even more. Why did you not report it? Yunwan Li was furious. Do you have any idea how the situation is inside? Any student would be doomed if they went in. I was afraid that you would punish me, Feng Xiu whispered. His head was lowered to the ground. The other 7 guards hurriedly got down on their knees and lowered their heads as well. No one dared to breathe for fear of being too loud. They would naturally be more scared if the titled battle pet warrior Feng Xiu was frightened. Anyone in the academy knew that the principal was at the legendary rank and that he possessed mysterious powers. Afraid that I was going to punish you, Yunwan Li was too angry for words. At the same time, he felt powerless. If Feng Xiu would have reported to him in time, he would have had the chance to go inside and search for Solingyu at once and still be alive. However, the fact remained that a week had passed. He was willing to go in there and help Suiping look for his sister, but he didn't have much hope. Deep down in his heart, he believed that his sister had turned into a pile of bones. Maybe not even bones. Suiping darted a glance at Feng Xiu. He had every intention to kill him, but he stopped himself. He looked into the cave and said to Yunwan Li, "So, those are the deep caves." Yunwan Li turned to Suiping and nodded. "Yes. It's one of the entrances. The Valiant Academy has been guarding the entrance for a long time. Of course, we're just guarding the entrance. The ones guarding the strategic passes inside are the legendary battle pet warriors from the tower who are willing to risk their lives." Suiping nodded and made his way into the cave. Feng Xiu was wondering who the man was, for him to speak to the principal so casually. A legendary battle pet warrior from the tower? Curious as he was, Feng Xiu preferred not to raise his head. When he felt the 2 people were walking past him, his heart, which was at the moment caught in his throat, gradually returned to his chest. He turned his head and saw the principal and the young man making their way toward the entrance. "Sir, are you going in?" Yunwan Li answered without looking back. "Stay here. I will talk to you after I come back." Feng Xiu no longer dared to utter another word. The other 7 guards kept their heads low and their foreheads were covered in cold sweat. Suiping had even thought that the 7 guards were a little bit too nervous, but he didn't think much of it. The priority was to find Solingyu. Whether dead or alive, he had to see her. That idea made the killing intent surge in Suiping's heart. "Fate Challenger Su, please be careful. There are a lot of beast kings in the deep caves and they are vicious." Shoulder to shoulder, Yunwan Li and Suiping went into the pitch-dark cave. The principal lifted his hand and a crystal that was giving off a white light appeared in his palm and the crystal lit up the cave. The cave extended into the distance and the walls were full of bumps and hollows. Every now and then they saw large claw marks. They could imagine how large the creatures had to be to leave marks like those. The air was humid and foul, but there was nothing else noticeable. All the beasts inside are contained in the tunnels further in. We won't see many beasts in this area, but there will be a few beasts running loose out here. Let's check the strategic pass over there. We'll ask the guards and see if they've seen your sister." Yunwan Li walked in front of Suiping to show him the way while he said so. Suiping asked, "How many entrances are there to enter the deep caves?" "Over a dozen, I suppose, scattered across the globe. Some entrances are deep in the ocean. Those entrances have been filled and leveled up by legendary battle pet warriors. After all, we cannot have people staying in the ocean all year round because there are more beast kings in the ocean than on land. Not even legendary battle pet warriors would survive that kind of environment." Yunwan Li continued as they made their way forward. "There are 5 entrances in our subcontinent district, and this is one of them. We're about 100,000 meters away from the tunnel inside." Suiping frowned as he gazed at the meandering path going downward. 100,000 meters downward? How did the deep caves come into being? Yunwan Li shook his head. "That was a long, long time ago. I heard that the deep caves were here since the beginning of the Astral Pets era. It was said that the first generation of battle pet warriors expelled and drove all the powerful wild beasts into the deep caves. This is another theory that says the deep caves have always been here and that all the beasts were born in the deep caves. No one can tell which story is true, while it no longer matters, truth be told. Sua Ping frowned in silence. The only thing that could be heard was their footsteps. Yunwan Li held the crystal and explored the way. After passing a slope, they went deeper and deeper inside. After a while, Sua Ping twitched his nose. He smelled blood. He warned Yunwan Li at once, there is blood. Yunwan Li was alerted. A swirl opened up behind him and from it flew out a beast king pet of the demon family. The pet was 7 to 8 meters tall but small when compared to other beast kings. Sua Ping was familiar to pets of the demon and undead families. He recognized right away that it was a ghost eye. The pet had the bloodline of the void state and that one right there had yet to reach the void state, only the ocean state. At the void state, the ghost eye would be about 10 meters tall and could engage in close-quarter combat. Sleep and food were not the only things a beast king needed to reach the prime state. The pet would have to enjoy some precious pet food. If the pet could not reach the prime state while in its golden years, its condition would start to deteriorate and so would the combat strength. Go, Yunwan Li said to his pet. Whoosh! The ghost eye turned into a puff of dark mist that was dispersed towards the depth of the cave. The ghost eye had become an integrated part of the darkness. Sua Ping understood that Yunwan Li had sent the ghost eye on a recon mission. Let's go, Yunwan Li said to Sua Ping. Sua Ping nodded and moved along. They covered some distances. Sua Ping and Yunwan Li saw some bones that had turned snow white. The beasts must have been dead for long ages and every piece of flesh had been corroded. The deeper they were into the cave, the stronger the smell of the blood was. All of a sudden, Yunwan Li stopped and turned over to Sua Ping with an alert. My big eye beast told me that it's dangerous up ahead. Sua Ping frowned in confusion. You said that this is the only way from the entrance and up ahead is the strategic pass. There are legendary battle pet warriors. How can it be dangerous? Yunwan Li was baffled as well. Indeed, they were going to reach the strategic pass guarded by legendary battle pet warriors. Did his pet refer to the legendary battle pet warriors as the source of danger? No, that could not be the case. After all, the ghost eye was a beast king with a high level of intelligence, it could clearly distinguish between humans and beasts. The other one was a winged wind listener. It was about 6 to 7 meters long and looked like an insect, with sharp claws at the end of each limb. Even though small-sized, it possessed great energy and was able to move with agility. It was said that a winged wing listener could reach a speed that was 20 times the speed of sound, it could travel faster than the best fighter plane of the time. Another trait was its listening ability, being able to pick up noises 100,000 meters away. That cracking rock dragon occupied 1/3 of the space because of its 30-meter height. The pet crawled out from the swirl, it observed the cave and asked Yunwan Li, Wan Li, where are we? What do you need us for? Sua Ping darted a look since he was intrigued by the talking dragon. Beast kings were intelligent, they could learn to speak the human language with some guidance. That being said, it was still funny for Sua Ping to hear a dragon speak so fluently. The winged wind listener flapped its dark wings and made a sound with its mouth. The pet, too, could speak fluently. Old Wan, is this dude your student? Yunwan Li produced a forced smile. Of course not. This is Fate Challenger Su. He's much more powerful than I am. Mind your words. After a pause, he changed to the major matter at hand. I called you out because we're in some kind of trouble. We are entering the deep caves. Big Eye sent me a message just now, warning me of danger. We may get into a fight later. Be ready. Deep caves. Holy crap! Old Wan, are you crazy? Why would you come here in the first place? Do you know that a bunch of lunatics are trapped here? Startled by Yunwan Li's words, the dragon and the winged wind listener immediately looked around on full alert. The cracking rock dragon directly formed a layer of dark crystal over Yunwan Li. That was one of the dragon's best skills, that crystal layer could easily withstand the strikes of a beast king at the ocean state. Yunwanli looked at that layer of black crystal and reminded his dragon, Fate Challenger Su is with me. The cracking rock dragon understood what Yunwanli implied. Although unhappy, the dragon did add a layer of black crystal over Suiping as well. At the same time, the winged wind listener was checking the surroundings. Right after the dragon finished crystal layering, the winged wind listener said with confusion, many things are hiding about 40,000 meets ahead. I can only hear the movement of some internal organs. Humans. No. Yunwanli knitted his eyebrows. The legendary warrior's battle pets. Yunwanli was hesitating. However, Suiping had already stepped forward. Whatever was lurking further down, he would have to take Solingyu home. Even if Solingyu had stopped breathing. Fate Challenger Su, Yunwanli called Suiping, but the latter neither stopped nor answered him. Having no other options, Yunwanli hurried after Suiping. The dragon lowered its head and whispered to Yunwanli, Wanli, who is that guy? I don't think I've ever seen him in the tower. I think he's just at the titled rank. The winged wind listener shared its view. Yunwanli said grumpily, you two, this isn't something you should worry about. Put your guard up. It's not a place for you to fool around. The dragon snorted and the breath blew away the dust. The dragon snuck underground. A bump rose on the ground and the bump was moving forward quickly. I'll go and explore the way, the dragon shouted. The bump moved further and further away until the ground was flat again. Yunwanli caught up with Suiping. The latter was still unguarded and had summoned no battle pets. Fate Challenger Su, your battle pets, they will come out when we're in trouble, Suiping said. Yunwanli wanted to say that it would be too late. After all, it took time to summon battle pets and even 1 second would matter in a desperate fight. They were walking forward when all of a sudden, Yunwanli said something to Suiping with a pale face, my pets are under attack. Danger! With that said, he ran forward toward his pets. Suiping used teleportation to make his way forward. The winged wind listener screamed in astonishment, teleportation? Really? But I sense that he's just at the titled rank, as you call it, and even I cannot teleport, but neither Suiping nor Yunwanli were in the mood to talk to the winged wind listener because the two of them were hurrying forward at full speed. They covered the long distance in an instant. Suddenly, Suiping stopped abruptly because he smelled a pungent smell of blood. Boom! Something was shaking in the darkness. Coming next was an angry bellow. Suiping recognized it was Yunwanli's dragon that was roaring. Anxiously, Yunwanli shouted, Astral light! His white robe blew up. The astral powers coming out of him formed many rays of light that began to spread across the area. The entire cave was instantly lit up, bright as day. In the light, Suiping and Yunwanli were able to see that the dragon and the ghost eye were fighting some beasts that had blocked their path, the two battle pets. The winged wind listener shouted, Old One! Yunwanli merged with the winged wind listener without hesitating. The winged wind listener turned into a ball of mess that merged into Yunwanli. He began to grow in height until he measured at about 3 meters, becoming a giant. At the same time, wings appeared on its back, although smaller than those of the winged wind listener. After merging with his battle pet, aided by his battle pet's special skills, Yunwanli was not only able to gain strength, but also speed. Whoosh! Yunwanli dashed out as soon as the merging ended. He was able to run faster than before. The wind stirred up, blew the dust off the ground. Suiping felt he had almost lost sight of Yunwanli. With a solemn heart, Suiping took out the sword that Dusk had given him from his storage space. Kill them! Suiping fixed his look on the wild beasts and shot himself out like a cannon. Soon after, he had caught up with Yunwanli and then ran past the latter. Suiping reached a beast that was attacking the ghost eye. PFF. Suiping raised his sword. Whoa! The cut caught that beast off guard. A deep wound appeared on the beast's neck. Blood gushed out and the beast howled in pain. Suaping coldly continued to attack the beast, thinking that it was the one responsible for killing Solingyu. The evil flames on the sword burned the wounds of the beasts. Suaping was like a ghost as he ran between the beasts, soon trying to maul several beasts. The encirclement was broken, the wild beasts stepped away, crying in pain and eyeing Suaping in fear. Fate challenger Su, Yunwanli had arrived. The strange scales on his face resembled those of the winged wind listener. He stared at Suaping who had just forced his way away from those beasts. Even though he was aware of Suaping's strength, it still came as a shock for him that Suaping was able to defeat beast kings without relying on his battle pets. Catch them alive! Suaping looked around. Behind him were two swirls, one of which was small. A white skeleton foot reached out from the swirl. On the other hand, the other swirl was large and the creature coming out was violent and vicious. The flames increased the temperature of the entire cave. Boom! The Inferno Dragon came out. The Inferno Dragon's bloodline had exceeded the Fate state after gaining the Purple Blood Dragon's bloodline. The Inferno Dragon had just reached adulthood but it was already displaying star rank energy. That guy, the Cracking Rock Dragon, was wounded and bleeding. It was scared to see the Inferno Dragon. The pet was appalled, given that the overpowering Inferno Dragon made it want to kneel. Roar! The walls were shaking and the ground was going to split. The stirred-up wind blew back the beast's fur. Being the main target of that roar, it panicked and stepped back while trembling. The Inferno Dragon had strengthened the roar with the old Dragon King's heritage and the Purple Blood Dragon's skills. The Cracking Rock Dragon was much more nervous while standing behind the Inferno Dragon, even though it knew they weren't enemies. The fear stemmed from its primal instincts. Kill them! That was the order received by the Inferno Dragon and the inconspicuous little skeleton standing right beside it. A crimson glow rose in the skeleton's eye sockets. It took action before anyone knew what was going on. Bang! A wild beast was beheaded and the cut on its neck was neat. Another wild beast fell to the ground. Blood was gushing out. That bloody scene scared Yunwanli and the beasts. Instant KO. But those wild beasts here were beast kings. The wounded beast that tried to contend with the Inferno Dragon was dumbstruck. But the wounded beast's attention was more on the little skeleton. The beast shifted its several eyes to give its full focus. Compared to the Inferno Dragon, the skeleton was more like death itself. A white-boned demon. Those are, Yunwanli looked at Suaping, astounded. That was the person who had been able to break into the tower and make it out alive. Those were his battle pets. Yunwanli was certain he could not have survived if the little skeleton had struck him. He didn't even see what happened when that beast king died. Whoosh! Suaping didn't waste any time while everyone was in shock. His target was another beast present. The targeted beast felt the killing intent and the sense of danger made it come back to its senses. It snuck underground, trying to escape. However, Suaping was faster. He stopped the beast before it got away. He poked the beast's spine with his sword, leaving a deep and wide cut on the beast's back. Blood spilled out. That beast king cried in pain. Since Suaping had mastered teleportation, the usual ocean state beast kings didn't stand a chance. That was how much more powerful the void state was when compared to the ocean state. Those wild beast kings were at the ocean state. Their astral powers were abundant and they had the power to kill beings at the peak of the titled rank with astral powers alone. However, the void state was a realm at which the creature was able to master abilities to manipulate space. As such, the beast kings at the ocean state were like vulnerable babies, never standing a chance to win. Whoosh! Whoosh! The remaining beast kings knew that things weren't going to end well for them. They quickly tried to escape. The little skeleton was on pursuit. In the meantime, the Inferno Dragon was targeting the wounded beast king. The moment the latter turned around to run, the Inferno Dragon stepped forward and grabbed the other with its paws. The Inferno Dragon dug its nails into the beast king's back and exerted great strength. Roar! That beast king was yanked back. The Inferno dragon breathed out purple flames that traveled all across the beast king starting from its tail. The heat scorched the beast king's scales and some of them dried to an extent that they would curl up. With a bang, the Inferno dragon stomped on the beast king's hind legs, then pushed downward and the force was so strong that the walls trembled. Blood was oozing out from the beast king's head. The Inferno dragon pinned the beast king's neck on the ground, disabling the creature. Sui Ping had told the Inferno dragon to keep the beast king alive. While the Inferno dragon had the beast king under control, other beast kings were crying miserably. Sui Ping and the little skeleton killed all the beast king escapees, all of them were currently lying in a pool of blood, with no exceptions. The battle ended. Barely 2 minutes had passed. Yunwan Li gulped as he stared at the dead beast kings and the pool of blood. He didn't do a thing and the battle had already ended. He had merged with his battle pet but he didn't even have a chance to fight. This is what Sui Ping can do. Yunwan Li remembered when Sui Ping was standing above the graveyard forest and he looked at those dead beast kings. He suddenly felt lucky since he had decided not to fight against Sui Ping over Nan Fengtian's issue. Otherwise, he would be the one dying, the tower wouldn't even have the means to avenge him. I cannot believe we have such a person on the blue planet. Is he even originally from the blue planet? Yunwan Li asked himself. Sui Ping was not in the mood to ponder over what Yunwan Li might be thinking. Having taken care of the fleeing beast kings, Sui Ping flew to approach the beast king that was being subdued by the Inferno dragon. The beast king was pinned on the ground. Sui Ping stood on the beast king's head. He was minuscule in comparison. As a matter of fact, he was merely a little bit bigger than one of the beast king's fangs. Listen. Have you met a human girl, a young girl? Sui Ping asked the beast king that looked at him oddly. Damn you, humans. We'll soon be free from the caves and kill you all sooner or later. The beast king felt humiliated over having Sui Ping on its head. It roared to express its anger. The Inferno dragon tightened its grip. The scales on the beast king's neck broke and the bones were also making cracking noises. Sui Ping kept a straight face as he looked at the suffering beast king. He took out his phone and found a picture of Sol Lingyu. He squatted down and placed the picture right in front of the beast king's half-meter large eyes. Have you seen this girl? The beast king's pupils contracted as if trying to focus on the smiling girl in the picture. Soon, the beast king squeezed out some words. You puny humans. You all look alike to me and you're all worthless. I'll eat every one of you I see, bang. Before the beast king could finish, Sui Ping directly crushed its head. Sui Ping stood up. He shook the blood off his hand, put away his phone, and looked at the Inferno dragon. The Inferno dragon understood what Sui Ping wanted. The Inferno dragon let go of the beast king's neck, then cut the beast king open with one finger. The internal organs and blood fell to the ground. The dragon then went ahead and slit open all the internal organs. The scene was too cruel to the eyes. Yunwan Li turned pale but Sui Ping was unaffected. All of a sudden, Yunwan Li began to understand why the young man had been able to scare away the evil energy at the graveyard forest. He certainly had become used to that hellish scene. Is this young man even from the human world? The Inferno dragon finished the search moments later. There was some acid in the beast king's stomach but nothing else being digested. Sui Ping saw that. He flew toward the Inferno dragon's shoulder and went away. The Inferno dragon generated a ball of purple flames to burn off the blood on its paws and moved ahead. The little skeleton was sitting properly on the Inferno dragon's shoulder as well. Yunwan Li needed a few seconds before he could come back to his senses. He called the cracking rock dragon and the ghost eye to go after Sui Ping. The cracking rock dragon and the ghost eye looked at each other, both could see their shared astonishment as they saw each other's eyes. Fate Challenger Su, wait for me. Yunwan Li had soon caught up. He stopped the merging with his beast, so the winged wind listener re-emerged behind him. The cracking rock dragon and the ghost eye followed Yunwan Li gingerly. Now and then, they would dart a fearful look at the young man sitting on the Inferno Dragon's shoulder. The cracking rock dragon was afraid of the Inferno Dragon, and even more afraid of the Inferno Dragon's master, Suaping. The cracking rock dragon decided never to talk as casually as before. "Sir, is this the strategic pass you mentioned?" A moment later, Suaping saw a horizontal cave right in front of them, forming a T-shaped pass. He then saw some remains and swords that were half buried in the ground. That strategic pass right there was critical. Once the beasts got out, the consequences would be too horrifying to fathom. How come there were no legendary battle pet warriors present? Suaping closed his eyes for a few seconds before he announced, "I don't sense other living creatures nearby." "That's not possible. It's not a joke, I don't think the tower can ignore this place." Yunwanli had to disagree. Suaping cast a look at him. "Do you not know what the tower is like?" Suaping held little regard for the tower ever since he paid them a visit and saw how the resident legendary battle pet warriors were experts at entertaining themselves. Where the tower had a legendary battle pet warrior guarding the doors when no one dared to create any trouble when visiting. However, there were no legendary battle pet warriors in the perilous deep caves. The more he thought about the tower, the more disgusted he was. Yunwanli had sensed the ridicule in Suaping's answer. While looking around, Yunwanli murmured, "No, no way. I know the tower is corrupted, but I don't think they would ignore this place. The entire globe would be doomed if the beasts get out. Humans would see the end of the world. There must be other reasons." Yunwanli thought of the beasts that attacked them. Everything about that place was out of the ordinary. All the creatures were at the Beast King rank, and yet they were lurking in the passageways. If there were no legendary battle pet warriors to guard the fort, why didn't the Beast Kings try to go above ground? I.e. if those Beast Kings were ever on the loose, the Valiant Academy would soon be gone. The entire Longyang base city would be swiftly wiped out. After all, the Beast Kings would easily destroy the entire Longyang base city if they dashed out of the cave without any warning. Suaping frowned as he pondered about their situation. "I'm going in to find my sister." "Sir, you can go back if you find it too dangerous. I don't think I can cover you if we run into serious trouble." Yunwanli came back to his senses. It was weird that a titled battle pet warrior would say cautionary words to a legendary battle pet warrior. But Suaping's strength made it all make sense. Indeed, he would have to rely on Suaping's help in a dangerous situation. "I'll go with you since I'm already here, Fate Challenger Su. I'm an old man while you have nothing to be afraid of." "Why would I?" Yunwanli smiled. Suaping commented, "I see that the tower has a few members with integrity." "Hey!" Yunwanli laughed a hollow laugh. He understood that Suaping didn't like the tower in the slightest. Suaping then told the Inferno Dragon to lead them forward. Suaping felt something different as soon as they stepped into the tunnel. He could not describe it with words, but things had changed. It was as if he were inside of some dangerous creature's lair. Suaping was worried, even the tower was afraid of the deep caves. It continued to be an unsolved problem since the start of the Astral Pets era. It wouldn't be strange to Suaping for them to find creatures with star rank cultivation. Yunwanli, too, was concerned. He told the cracking rock dragon to add more layers of crystals on him and Suaping. The Inferno seemed unhappy when the crystals reached its body. Suaping calmed the Inferno dragon down to let the cracking rock dragon do its work. "Watch out! I feel something's strange," Suaping alerted Yunwanli. Having traveled in so many cultivation sites, he had encountered tens of thousands of Beast Kings, he was familiar with many rare skills. Something was off. It was just too quiet. There weren't even any traces of wind. He didn't feel anything, not even the tiniest ant. The winged wind listener also reminded Yunwanli, "Old Wan, be careful." That was enough to alert Yunwanli. He merged with the cracking rock dragon without hesitation. Soon, he turned into a human dragon that was several meters tall with a thick tail, claws as hands, and scales as skin. The ground shook as soon as Yunwanli finished the merging. Several dark, iron chains grew out from the ground. Those iron chains were thick, they instantly entangled the ghost eye. The ghost eye screamed and turned into mist in an attempt to break free. However, the ghost eye was still trapped even in mist form. Danger! The winged wind listener let out a shrill cry and flew away, splitting into 9. However, the next second, the black iron chains crushed all of the 9 figures, and one of them was tied up. The iron chains were so fast they disappeared as soon as they appeared and re-emerged by their target. The iron chains can teleport. Yunwanli was appalled. He placed his hands together and raised some dark crystal shields around him, trying to block the iron chains. However, the iron chains vanished outside the crystal shields and emerged right inside, tying Yunwanli up. In a matter of seconds, Yunwanli and his 2 battle pets were all entangled. At the same time, more chains were reaching the Inferno Dragon and Suaping. The iron chains had trapped the Inferno Dragon before it could do anything. However, the Inferno Dragon unleashed violent flames, and the purple flames burnt off all the chains seizing it. Some of the chains were melting. Suaping stood still when the iron chains were reaching him. Next to him, the little skeleton wielded its bone blade and cut off those iron chains. The ground shook as the Inferno Dragon broke free. Soon, a magnificent and ugly beast snuck out from the ground. The iron chains were actually part of its body. The beast's trophy was made up of several pieces of flesh on which grew barbs. The chained ghost. Suaping recognized the beast at once. The chained ghost was a rare kind of beast king from the demon family. It would feed on advanced undead creatures and was a mortal enemy of the latter. The locking chains could contain many other kinds of pets. However, those chains were not as effective when the target was something like the Inferno Dragon. The chained ghost had a fate state bloodline, and it was said there was a small chance a chained ghost could evolve to become a ghost lord of the star rank, and even a Pluto emperor that only existed in legends. This one should be at the void state or thereabouts. Suaping had met similar beasts at the chaotic realm of the undead. By checking the size and energy, he was able to tell that the chained ghost was not one at the prime state. Beast kings like that needed more than time to grow to their ideal state. The beast king would require the proper environment and valuable resources. It would never be able to realize its bloodline's full potential without those things. This is the entrance, and we are already seeing such rare beast kings. Suaping was even more worried about the deep caves. At the same time, he wanted to capture that chained ghost. It was a beast worth taming. The chained ghost was rare, even among beast kings. Beast catching ring. Whoosh! Suaping took out 2 black rings. Instead of throwing out the rings himself, he gave an order to the little skeleton. The chance of success would be greater when the beast kings were badly wounded. The little skeleton knew what it needed to do. It dashed out with precision and strength. A mass of darkness rose from its bone blade, giving it a complete cover. One could mistake the little skeleton for a demon coming out from hell. Bang! The darkness enveloped the bone blade and the glaring ray of sword light reached the chained ghost's head. The chained ghost bellowed. Space was falling above its head. The chained ghost was going to crush the little skeleton. However, the swirl froze in the next second. Even the chained ghost was frozen on the spot as if time would have been detained. On the other hand, the little skeleton was moving like usual. The cut landed on the chained ghost. Punishment of sins. That was one of the little skeleton's beast king skills. The ray of sword light didn't behead the chained ghost. Rather, the chained ghost was pushed to the ground as if a mountain were above its head. The skeleton was like a judge, condemning the chained ghost for its sins. The ghost creature stopped moving. The little skeleton had isolated the chained ghost's consciousness. The chained ghost and the little skeleton were the only 2 creatures in existence within that virtual world of consciousness. They stood, facing each other. The little skeleton abruptly grew bigger and soon became a skeleton king that was the lord of the world. It sat on the ground and the mountain were its throne. It was the lord of the world. The chained ghost was scared, it shouted in protest, but the shout itself sounded more like a fearful whimpering. The little skeleton's massive skeleton hand grabbed the chained ghost, covering its whole view. The chained ghost was paralyzed with dread. In reality, the little skeleton had put away its bone blade. The flames in its eye sockets disappeared, then cast a look at the paralyzed chained ghost and went back to Suaping. Even Suaping was surprised to see that the little skeleton had been able to contain the chained ghost in one move. He had yet to check the little skeleton's combat strength in reality. Suaping had merely seen the number provided after the little skeleton absorbed the Skeleton King's bloodline. But that was just a number. He finally knew what the number meant. Go! Suaping threw out the beast-catching ring. The beast-catching ring landed on the chained ghost. A hole appeared in space, sucking in the chained ghost. The hole disappeared after the chained ghost vanished. The ring went back to normal, but there was something different about it. Suaping took the ring back. The hole that appeared in space made Yunwan Li's heart flutter with fear. He felt the inside of that hole was the most terrifying space in the world. Suaping put away the ring. He noticed the fear in Yunwan Li's face but didn't mind it. That beast-catching ring was able to catch both beasts and humans. After all, he had bought the ring from the systems shop. Everything was a pet according to the system, even Joanna was a pet. Of course, humans could be turned into pets. Whoosh! Suaping told the little skeleton to keep an eye out for him while his consciousness entered the beast-catching ring. There was a boundless darkness inside, where tides were surging. The only thing that Suaping was able to see within was a beast chained up at the center of that space, dangling in the air. It was the chained ghost. Suaping's consciousness manifested itself in a tangible form while staring at the beast immobilized by the chains. He reached the beast and asked, "Have you seen this girl?" He waved his hand and Solingyu's image appeared right in front of him. That was a space which was an intersection between reality and a virtual world. His thoughts could be manifested. The chained ghost turned its eyes to look at Suaping and snarled. "Let me go, you dirty bug! Answer my questions if you want to get out," Suaping replied. "Go away," shouted the chained ghost. Suaping was not mad. He had become used to the fact that most beasts were short-tempered. He cautioned the beast, "You must know what kind of situation you're in. Killing you is but child's play for me. Answer my questions honestly if you want to live, and I might just spare your life." The chained ghost glared at Suaping but stopped shouting. The threat of death was effective. That puny thing ran into that place. "If you want to find her, go deeper," the chained ghost said with a spooky voice. Suaping stared at the beast. A moment later, Suaping said, "I will go. You can tell me that she's dead all you want, but I would still go. I will find her, I won't stop until I see her with my own eyes." "Wow, so scary. Off you go, then." The chained ghost grinned. Suaping kept his gaze on the beast 2 more seconds. "Legendary battle pet warriors have been here before, right? Where did they go? Did you kill them? Or did they take off?" The chained ghost laughed a grim laugh. "Of course we killed them. This is our place now." "You," all of a sudden, the beast thought of something. It stopped the sentence halfway and asked a question, "I've already told you where that puny thing went. Shouldn't you be letting me out?" "Not now." Suaping cast one last glance at the beast before he left the beast-catching ring. I knew it, you despicable thing. But you're not nearly as good as I am," the chained ghost sneered. It knew that Suaping wouldn't really let it go, it wasn't disappointed. But the chains around it did vex the beast. The chains were too tight, the beast was unable to break itself free, no matter what he did. The energy inside him was contained by the chains. "You'll be the first one I eat when I get out," Chained Ghost promised itself. Suo Ping's consciousness returned to his body. He stood on the Inferno Dragon's shoulder as he contemplated. He wondered if he could trust the chained ghost. Of course, that had to do with the legendary battle pet warriors. As for Solingya, he would go in there, whether she was dead or alive. The chained ghost might have been setting him up, but he didn't mind. If his family was in the caves, no matter how dark the place was, he would be the light. Fate Challenger Su, Yunwanli gingerly stepped closer to where Suo Ping was. He didn't have the guts to ask about that dark space. That hole had been able to swallow the Beast King, it had to be his personal secret. As a matter of fact, he was wishing he hadn't seen that happen, at all. He was afraid that Suo Ping might want to kill him to silence him. Suo Ping told Yunwanli, "Let's go." "Sure." Yunwanli nodded. Suo Ping looked to his sides. Both the right and the left side led to darkness. He thought about it and chose the way to the right. Whoosh! For the sake of safety, Suo Ping summoned the Dark Dragon Hound. Phew! The Dark Dragon Hound jumped out from the swirl. First, the Dark Dragon Hound did a stretch, then quickly ran to where Suo Ping was, when it saw his soul. "Go on, lead the way," Suo Ping said directly. The Dark Dragon Hound was about to play cute with Suo Ping when the words reached its ears. It trembled after peering into the darkness, and then looked back at Suo Ping with its big, watery eyes. Suo Ping rolled his eyes. The guy with the strongest defense was the most fearful of all. "Go," Suo Ping repeated, grumpily. The Dark Dragon Hound had to give up begging and darted a glance at Suo Ping with hidden bitterness. Then, it slowly dragged itself over and started to lead the way. Yunwanli was surprised when he saw the Dark Dragon Hound. He recognized the species right away. A battle pet with a 6th rank bloodline? But there was something different about this pet, its body and energy seemed to be uncommon. So, is he really not originally from the Blue Planet? That strange battle pet made Yunwanli go off into wild flights of fancy again. The only things that could be heard were their footsteps as the scaredy pet was leading the way. Soon after, the Dark Dragon Hound began to bark. Suo Ping quickly moved closer. 2 Beast Kings were fighting the Dark Dragon Hound. One of them was something like a centipede that was hundreds of meters long, and the other one was a 7-meter-tall skeleton wearing armor. The second was a beast that could only be spawned by deadly aura in a special environment. It had been born with strong combat strength. "Go and help," Suo Ping said. Whoosh! The little skeleton was quick dash over, its target was the huge skeleton. Teleportation. And cut. A ray of sword light cut the skeleton in two. That swift action was all it took to end the battle. At the same time, the Dark Dragon Hound had pinned the centipede on the ground and was biting the latter. 2 Beast Kings lost. The little skeleton placed its hand on the other skeleton, a puff of darkness flowed into its body. After some time passed, the little skeleton put its hands down and the darkness disappeared. Whoosh! The little skeleton flew back to where Suo Ping was and sat on the Inferno Dragon's shoulder. Suo Ping threw a look at the Dark Dragon Hound that was still feeding off the centipede. "Let's go." The Dark Dragon Hound was unwilling to let go of its food. It found a piece of shell, broke it, got a piece of green meat out, ate it, and went back to its job. Yunwanli was unable to utter a single word. 2 Beast Kings had died instantly, both had been powerful enough to give any of the large base cities a scare. And yet, their deaths came too easily. They pressed on. Apart from Beast Kings, they encountered some advanced beasts and most were at the 9th rank, while some were barely at the 8th rank. Of course, the Dark Dragon Hound smashed them all. "Do you have a map?" Suo Ping asked. Yunwanli shook his head. The deep caves have a complicated and harsh environment. Only the legendary battle pet warriors that have stayed here long enough can recognize the way. There's no map. Suo Ping darted a contemptuous glance at the man. He was too useless, he could not even be the tour guide. Yunwan Li surely noticed this reaction because he laughed a hollow laugh after that. Soon, the dark dragon hound warned Suaping. Suaping was startled. A thing that could make the dark dragon hound sense danger had to be a ruthless character. Let's go. He went after the dark dragon hound. Soon, as if running through a membrane of water, Suaping felt the world had lit up and the cold wind penetrated his bones. Lying in front of his eyes was boundless ice. He stepped out of the darkness and onto the ice in a second. Suaping couldn't understand it. There was no sun and the sky was blue, there was no color other than white below the sky. This is the field of ice, Yunwan Li explained. He had emerged from a ripple, while still fused with his cracking rock dragon. His defense level would be increased while maintaining the merged state. He could at least protect himself in case of a surprise strike. Field of ice. Suaping frowned. Yes, there are 5 different fields in the deep caves, or 5 prisons, to be exact. Yunwan Li continued, all the beasts of the deep caves are imprisoned in those 5 fields. It is said that the first people who built the deep caves created the fields so that the beasts would gradually go extinct in them. Of course, that theory wasn't without flaws. Either way, there are 5 different fiends. The field of ice is the closest to the academy. Go further on and you'll run into the field of purgatory, an ocean of fire. There should be legendary battle pet warriors at the border of the purgatory and ice fields. We can go there and have a look. Suaping nodded. Okay. Lead the way. Yunwan Li nodded. Just go straight. You may think this is a boundless world, but the field has its limit. He hopped onto the winged wind listener's back as he continued, some beast is hiding here. Since they've stayed here for a long time, those beasts have assimilated with the environment. We can fall into traps easily if we walk around. Suaping told the Inferno Dragon to take him higher up. The dragon had grown a pair of purple wings after gaining the purple dragon's bloodline. Whoosh! Suaping and Yunwan Li were flying inside the massive cave system. The former didn't mind checking on the dark dragon hound that was still wildly running about in the snow. Soon after, the hound took the dragon form and joined them in the air. I hope we can find the legendary battle pet warriors from the tower. Yunwan Li looked worried. The first strategic pass had been left unguarded, and they had encountered many beasts on the way. That couldn't have been a good sign.